You happy with the minister's presentation?
Very, very underwhelming.
While we reject the budget, and what South Africa should actually notice is that it's the first neoliberal budget of the coalition of the DA and the ANC, which prioritizes the racialized apartheid styles of economic growth.
So it was a speech whereby the minister is just admitting we've got a problem, but is offering nothing in terms of solutions.
And what nonsense is this?
They're missing my story.
Hey, what's up South Africa? Welcome back to Heads Up SA. Today we're diving into the hot topic of the week, the reactions to Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's midterm budget policy statement. This one stirred up a storm. We are talking mixed reactions across the board, especially from the opposition parties and some serious blows from worker unions too. So let's unpack it. Now, first up, the DA party and the other GNU members are backing the finance minister on his policy. In fact, the DA claims that the budget's approach to fiscal policy wouldn't have been possible without input from the deputy finance minister, who, guess what, is a DA MP. They are supporting the statement, emphasizing the need for economic stability.
Well, of course. I mean, we've got a Deputy Minister of Finance who's been working very closely with Minister Godongwana in this. But, I mean, I think it is a collective reflection of the priorities of the Government of National Unity and a good precursor to the medium-term development plan that will come out in January. And I commend Minister Godongwana for the right diagnosis, but now also giving us the right remedy for that diagnosis. And I think that I'm very excited about us taking these first tentative steps onto a new path of fiscal responsibility and hopefully growth and jobs for more South Africans as a result thereof.
On the other hand, the official opposition, the MK party, isn't so pleased. They are calling for South Africans to focus on some real indicators of our economy's health. According to them, the country's economy is shrinking. What they say is directly hitting ordinary citizens. The MK party threw down some serious stats about debt to GDP ratios, a declining quality of life, and rising unemployment rates. Not to mention, they exposed the alarming state of our medical facilities, calling it a national crisis.
This alliance between Ramaphosa's ANC and the DA signals a troubling commitment to the IMF-backed policies that have continually failed our people. The MTBPS, presented under the guise of structural reforms and private sector participation, clearly signals an intent to defund, collapse and privatize our state-owned entities, in effect state-owned companies. In 2018, under President Zuma, GDP per capita was sitting at 82,000 rand. Under President Ramaphosa's leadership, this figure has dropped to around 78,000 rand in 2024. Second, in 2018, South Africa's debt to GDP ratio was approximately 53%, which, while concerning, left a room for targeted fiscal investments to stimulate growth. However, by 2024, Ramaphosa's austerity-focused approach has driven this ratio up to a staggering 74% or even higher. South Africa's Gini coefficient has risen to a world-leading 0.67 in 2024, showing that inequality has deepened under Ramaphosa's administration. This statistic underscores how wealth and income remain concentrated in the hands of the few, with little progress made to uplift the marginalized black majority.
The EFF, never one to hold back, rejected the budget outright, claiming the GNU is using apartheid-style economic growth. They slammed the minister for his lack of a clear plan to address unemployment, calling out his GDP targets as empty promises that never hit the mark. Bold words as usual from the Red Berets.
We knew very well that this neoliberal agenda will prioritize a privatization.
Today, does this budget address the issue of cost of living?
GDP. Their policy was GDP. Today, nothing is mentioned about GDP as the official departure from GDP to a neoliberal agenda.
Does this budget address the issue of the rising cost of living for the poor?
It doesn't. It doesn't address that because the economy is not going to grow. They keep on reducing their target to lower from 1.9 to 1.8, and the GDP says they've achieved 0.6. And even if they put new targets, you know very well that they will not meet those targets. And for as long as they don't meet their own targets that they set for themselves, they will never reduce cost of living in South Africa.
Now, let's talk ATM and Vuyo Zungula. He found the statement downright underwhelming. Zungula criticized the minister's approach, pointing out that while Godongwana admits that there's a revenue problem, he's not doing much to fix it. Zungula even threw in a few ideas, suggesting that the minister focus on taxing industries like illicit cigarettes and alcohol while giving more support to small businesses. And get this, he highlighted the township economy, estimated to be worth 500 billion rands. He says it's left out of the tax system completely.
We've got illicit financial flows in the country that are costing the fiscus billions, but he does and says nothing when it comes to that. We've got a problem of illicit trade in our country, whether it is alcohol, it is tobacco, but he does nothing when it comes to exploiting that. We've got a problem, or we've got more than 500 billion township economy in the hands of foreign nationals, but he does nothing when it comes to going after the traders there in terms of getting taxes there. Again, he says that there's a problem of job creation. Jobs are not going to fall from the sky. There needs to be a change in terms of government policy so that we've got manufacturing-driven initiatives, because consumerism will not create jobs. It's only manufacturing that is going to create jobs. Again, he spoke nothing about being deliberate and intentional on shifting government spending from big business to small businesses, because
now, you might think that the opposition parties are the only ones fuming, but nope. Even the SACP, which is usually aligned with the ANC, is speaking out. They are promising a fight over these budget cuts, claiming the GNU, the DA and the Freedom Front are pushing neoliberal agendas that hurt the working class. COSATU joined in on the action too, with General Secretary Soli Petwi firing shots outside Parliament on the day of the speech. Petwi warned they would take legal action if job cuts are included in the final budget, demanding job creation initiatives instead. And by the way, they handed the GNU a letter of memorandum. Looks like the GNU won't be getting any support from the workers this time.
I want to say categorically clear that we believe that the GNU arrangement has minimized the capacity of the state to be able to implement policy, the left-leaning policies. But well, the ANC believe that it can. So what we're doing ourselves now, we're saying we will have to force the ANC to ensure that it happens as it promises. But we don't believe that the whole limitations, the limitations there are actually hamstringing it from doing so.
That position is that when we talk about the retrenchment, we're not sectoral. We're saying they must stop the issue of the retrenchment. Unapologetic, we're saying the government of the national unity government must make sure that the teachers that are going to be retrenched in this province, they must stop that retrenchment. No retrenchment to the teachers, because we need education. Our children need education. If you reduce the education or educators in the Department of Education, what message are you sending to us? And that's the message we are sending. And that's why I'm saying all these political parties, when they were campaigning, they promised to retain and respect the rights of the workers. And
so, how did Minister Godongwana respond to all of this? Well, he says his critics just don't get his plan. According to him, South Africa has a serious growth problem. And in his view, taking on some debt is the only way to grow economy enough to service the debt in the long term. Not everyone's buying that, but he's standing by his strategy. So what's next? COSATU is set on keeping up the pressure, threatening to take the GNU to court if they don't meet workers' demands. And as for the rest of the opposition, they will keep holding the GNU accountable, with the MK Party and EFF digging into the government's inconsistencies and the SACP ready to protect any budget cuts. Things are about to get intense.
I said, no, people are missing my story. They're missing my story. My story is simply this: South Africa has a growth problem. If you have got a growing economy, you will solve the problem of unemployment, you will solve the problem of poverty. So South Africa has got a growth problem. If you have got a growing economy, you will solve the problem of debt. There's nothing about debt. The debt is not about its size. It's the capacity of the economy to service that debt. What was my message? That's what I'm trying to say, which people are missing. My message was that South Africans, we've got a growth problem. We've got to refocus on growth.
In the comments, do you think the minister's growth plan will work, or are these criticisms spot on? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any updates. See you in the next one. Keep your heads up, SA.